What up? It's your boy, the Incredible Manny. Yes. Whew. I just watched Vinland Saga episode 17. I missed everything. I'm super late to everything because like I was sick, and as you can tell in my voice, I'm not 100%, but I feel way better than I did the past couple days. So I just watched Vinland Saga episode 17, and it was fantastic, man. And this is my discussion / review. Dude, that scale, if I had to put this on a scale, it went from 0 to 100 within the first 2 minutes of everything. You know, like past the opening and us getting a little bit of Askeladd's backstory. After that, it went straight to 100 like it was nothing. It was 100 non-stop after that. It went straight to 100 full throttle, and there was nothing but action. And I'm gonna be real. Vinland Saga normally always gives us a little action, and then it gives us a little backstory, and then sometimes we have a whole backstory episode, and then we have a whole action episode. And that's what this was, a whole action episode with minor brief backstory in the beginning. And I'm not mad. I like I tell you guys, you know, I love a good backstory, and I love a good character development story in an anime. But I love a good action sequence too. I mean, I don't need a bunch of dialogue for anything. And Vinland Saga proved that point with this episode. I didn't need no dialogue. All I needed was the action, and it was action non-stop, and I loved every single minute of it. So we come in after episode 16, and we see everyone betraying Askeladd, and Askeladd telling Bjorn, Thorfinn, the prince, and the priest, you know, go ahead and get on the sled, because he knew how everyone felt about him right now. That's one of his superpowers. Well, not a superpower, but that's just one of his traits. He could tell stuff like that. So he told them to be prepared and be ready to ride out because everyone else is going to betray him. Dude, like I said, man, this episode was nothing but action. But this episode, so we picked up right after episode 16, but before we get back into all of that, we got a brief backstory of Askeladd. It was minor, and it didn't really dive into anything, but we had his mom telling him that they're descendants of King, I want to say Atrocious or Arturus or something like that, aka like the real live King Arthur, and they're descendants of him, and he's off in this fictional land, and you know he's resting and he's waiting for them because it was a nice emotional moment with his mother, and his mother was very pretty. She was very pretty because you could tell like they were struggling hardcore, and that minor backstory. You see how Askeladd becomes the type of person that he is. I mean, he grew up without anything. Him and his mother was on the run, and you see they were in a barn, and he was feeding her soup or something, and like flies were flying around it, and rats was in it, and everything. So you see why Askeladd is the type of person that he is because of his past, and it shaped him into the man that he is today. But then, dude, after that nice, and we see her, you know, telling him all of this other stuff about like this wonderful place, just like Thorfinn's mother and father told him about Vinland. Well, Leif told him about Vinland, and so that was a nice thing, and we kind of see how Askeladd gets from that point to who he is now. And then we dive right back into the story, man. And it was so good. It was so good because after that was nonstop action. So we have Thorgrim, I finally learned his name, leading the pack and having everyone betray Askeladd, and Askeladd just goes in, man. They finally step up and like, well, Askeladd, you're not leaving, we're taking the prince. And Askeladd steps up and, you know, you dang surprised me. You know, after all these years that we've traveled together, and I just wanted to tell you guys, I hate you. What? I hate you. And then he just pulls out his sword and lops heads off. And it was so fantastic. Like, it was murder, but like, honestly, let's be real, it was self-defense. They were trying to kill him. And I was okay with every single moment of it. I mean, I loved seeing all of the blood and everything just smash. You know, normally you feel like you have all, like, some previous scenes before where, you know, we had Askeladd and the others kill the villagers. And you feel some type of way, man. You know what I mean? You never expected this story to just have everybody just, you know, like, have one definitive thing because they're Vikings. But seeing those scenes, you know, it kind of got to you. But this was a scene that you didn't mind seeing people getting murdered and killed. Like, it did not faze me at all. I absolutely enjoyed it from point A to point B. It was just that good. Oh boy. So then we have Thorgrim leading the charge, and Askeladd just slicing and dicing people. Then he tells Bjorn and Thorfinn to ride out, and Thorgrim sends his brother and some of the other people after them. And in that moment when they're riding out, like the people are chasing them, and then we kind of jump back to Askeladd fighting off everyone else, and we see these people chasing Thorfinn and Bjorn and the prince. And Thorfinn pulls out some of his throwing knives, and Thorfinn is just going ham, dude. He's like, it was fun all over, man. They were putting in work, and I love that, man. It's like we know how Thorfinn feels about Askeladd, and it ends up being very definitive in this episode again. But in that moment, we see him like Askeladd is giving the orders, and Thorfinn is obliging, and he's going in to protect Prince Canute. And I love that, man. That was absolutely fantastic. So then we jump back and we see Thorkel looking on, and he was like, I can't really see what's going on too much, but it looks like they're fighting amongst themselves. And then he starts running towards the thing like, let me in on the fight, let me in on the fight. So then we have Thorgrim trying to talk to Askeladd, and Askeladd just going mollywopping on all of these people. And that's I'm so excited. So then we jump to, and we see the other guys chasing Bjorn and Thorfinn and everything, and they're trying to talk to Bjorn to get him to betray Askeladd, and we know that's not happening at all. So they get there, and dude, they kill the horse. They take an axe and just slop it in the axe head, and we have Bjorn was like, well, I told you guys to attack me, not the horse. And like, so the whole slit flips, and in that moment when it flips, we got Thorfinn over here pulling the Matrix, and he's jumping up in the air, flipping, and he kicks dude off the horse, and he lands and rides on the horse, and he's riding back to Askeladd because he doesn't want anyone to kill Askeladd. But at the same time, you know, it's like, we know why he doesn't want that, because Askeladd is his kill. But at the same time, in that moment, it felt like he was like, well, Askeladd, you can't die. You know, it felt like a very emotional moment. It felt more than just, you know, I want to kill you because you killed my father. It felt like they've been together for so long, you know, they have a bond now. So then we see them grabbing Prince Canute because he flipped off the wagon with the sled as well. And the next thing you know, you see Bjorn lift up the whole sled with one arm. And then they was like, Bjorn, what are you going to do? We're going to kill you. And then you see him biting the berserk mushroom. So, and it looked so good. Like, they zoomed in on his face, the graphics on his face, and the detail and the animation and everything was absolute. I said graphics. Anyway, it was so fantastic how detailed they got on his face with the blood, the line, the art style. Everything was fantastic, man. And then we see him telling them guys, like the look on his face was like, this ain't what y'all want. So then we jump back and we see Thorfinn on his way to Askeladd, but then we have Askeladd going and putting in work, but at the same time, because he's older now, he can't really compete with the guys like he used to. So like he's outnumbered, and you can tell he's pretty battered up a little bit. But then the guys start getting on his nerves a little bit. He gets a little angry, and like they starting to attack him a little more. And one dude hits him in the back with an axe. And like he's got on his armor, so it didn't affect him. Like, but it kind of rocked him a little bit, and like he got pissed, and he took his sword, and he split this man from head to toe. And dude had on a helmet. He hit the helmet and split dude's body in half, and everybody was like, "Whoa!" And then Askeladd was like, "Man, I shouldn't have got mad. Maybe them seeing me mad kind of gave them a little a reservation on like, should we attack them now?" So then they decided to take and pull some arrows, and they wanted to just, you know, hit him with some of the arrows. And Askeladd tried to protect himself a little bit. He tried to kind of talk him down, but it didn't really work. So they hit him with some of the arrows in his legs and arms. And then next thing you know, we have Thorgrim trying to talk to Askeladd, trying to tell him everything, and like, well, the reason he done this and everything. And Askeladd, you know, yeah, he just really wasn't going for it. But then in that moment, Thorkel showed up. Dude, Thorkel showed up, and it went ham. All of these guys threw down their weapons like idiots, because little do they know that Thorkel killed all the other guys. And they don't know that, but they thinking that they can do this and they can be on Thorkel's side, but that's not how it's going to work. But then we have Thorkel coming through, man, like a boss, and he's telling these guys, no. Who's Askeladd? And he's like, oh, you're Askeladd. Okay. So then he tells his crew, kill everybody except Askeladd. And then he's asking Askeladd, where's Thorfinn? So there's a lot going on, but he's like, kill everybody except Askeladd. And all these people, no, wait, we're on your side. We want to help you. Nah, it ain't gonna go that way. Then, man, the moment, like, I love this whole episode, and there were so many great scenes and moments with Thorfinn, Askeladd going ham, Bjorn, and Thorkel coming through. There was a lot going on, and there was a lot of great moments. But one of my favorite moments is when Thorkel went to fight Thorgrim, and he told him pick up his sword. Pick up his axe. He gave him his axe, and all of a sudden you saw Thorkel like real big and you know, like your typical anime thing, and Thorgrim was this small, and Thorfinn was this, Thorkel was this big, and all of a sudden, and I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, Thorgrim died from shock, like the shock of him being terrified of dying from Thorkel. That's what killed him. Like maybe he had a seizure or something in his brain or something. He died from shock. Like, he didn't get stabbed, impaled, or anything. He died from shock on his feet. Like, he started drooling out of his mouth and everything. Dude was gone. And that was one of the most fantastic scenes to me, even beyond, like, people getting their arms and hands and heads and body parts lopped off, because they even showed that, and I love that for Vinland Saga, and even killing the animals. But that moment was so good and so it was just out of nowhere to me, and that was one of the moments that I really enjoyed, was him dying from shock instead of getting impaled. He was just so terrified that he died. That was fantastic. So then with the ending, we have Thorfinn riding up to save Askeladd and telling Thorkel, no, you can't kill him because he's my prey. This almost slipped my mind. I don't know how, but because this was one of the things that I really wanted to talk about. But this was one of the most epic parts of this episode, along with the part, you know, pretty much everything that happened this episode, and along with the part of Thorgrim dying from shock. And that is when Thorkel, this man, punched a horse. I want to say like all in the abdomen or the sternum part of the horse. He punched a horse in that part of the horse's body, like full force too, so hard to where the horse lifted off the ground, flew back, threw Thorfinn all in the sky. Dude, there was so much going on in this episode. That's why I said it went from 0 to 100 within the first 2 minutes of this episode, and it didn't stop until like right there at the end where the ending song came on, because it was that much action packed throughout this whole episode, man. This is your boy, Nick Incredible. Don't forget to smash the like button so you can't smash it anymore. Comment down below and I'll be sure to respond to each and every one of them, and subscribe, but only if you really want to, man. And remember, the anime matters, anime is greatness, and anime is life, man. Peace out.